Hi, everybody, and
Hi,
welcome
everybody.
welcome to Tarot the Stash Way Reversals with Thomas from Tarot Your Way. I'm your host, Tarot Stash, and everybody knows what's coming next, right? Everybody, please like and subscribe. It's free. I'm looking at you. You know who you are.
It's free.
Huh?
They can hit the bell and
It's
that sound
free. It's
and
free.
make sure they never miss anything from you again, Gerald.
That's true. It's amazing. And Thomas, they can also do that when they like and subscribe to your channel, Tarot Your Way. Did you know that? It's incredible. I
I sure
know.
has.
And if I use, I don't know if Jamie's watching, but I'll use my tiny hands. Oh my gosh, really? So, well, obviously Thomas is very serious as I am. So, but anyhow, okay, so this is Tarot the Stash Way. This is there is a playlist. It is linked below. So if you want to get caught up on Tarot the Stash Way, please do so. And I started creating this, Thomas, because people were like going, how do you read tarot, Gerald? You could do a video about that. You could do some teaching about that. And I'm like going, yes, I could. So I started it. And you probably already know this because you're somebody who has watched this before, Thomas. I have the best chatters, and with Tarot the Stash Way, pay attention and participate in chat because it's also great to have your thoughts about the topic. So, all right, I'm going to get caught up on chat if that's okay.
Okay.
Brian, Blushing Nerd Tarot is here. Tortoiseshell Moon, Kathy is here. Should be watching the playback. Hershey, the shadow reader, is here. Hershey may not realize it, but she is my most recent moderator. Use your powers for good. And she says, hi, Thomas.
It's
Um,
it's going to be embarrassing when I'm the first one she has to, take away for 5 minutes.
no. Red Wing is here. I'm sort of work lurking, baking wholemeal soda bread. Ooh, that sounds good. Sounds good. Vanessa S is here. Hello, listening in the car. Kristen is on the mend. Hello, Kristen. And hope the
I heard she's got that dreaded C word. So, Kristen, I hope you get to feeling better.
Yep. Lisa is here. Kindness and Light. Hello. Good to see you. And Kristen M is here. Hi, Kristen M. I don't know if I've seen you before. Welcome. Good to see you. Lisa Niedermeyer is here. Hello. Speaking of trouble, you were on with Robin, Toadstool Tarot, a 3 weeks ago, weren't you, for a late night tarot reverse, something like that. So that was
We
fun.
did the cards ask the questions from
Yes. Like Regina.
Regina's Wirecraft.
Yep. Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft. Awesome. Spirit Tribe Talks with Deborah is here. Hello. Pia's Life is also work lurking. And yeah, she's like, shut the front door. I didn't notice. Well, it's all right. And Tom from Early Ritual is here. I got to meet Tom in a live with Blushing Nerd Tarot. He did an impromptu live and he was trying some stuff. So it's great. Thanks everybody for being here. And Sherry H is here. Hello, Sherry H, Voices from the Swamp. I was just on a live with Sherry on Friday. So, all right, Lovely to see everybody here. Thank you again. Linda Kelzer is here. And excuse me, all right, I bought myself a fan. Thwacking isn't as easy as you make it look. Yes, Queen. Boom, boom, boom. One of the keys with that is to know which side is actually going to face. So, it's all good. Aw. Thank you, Deb. So, okay. So, I'm just looking, and I've got plenty of moderators. This is good. And Linda Day Gonzalez is here. Hello, Linda. And okay, so Tarot of the Stashaway reversals. This was a topic that came up, and Thomas, you talked about reading reversals, and so I reached out, or you and I were talking about doing something together, and I'm like, do you read reversals? And you were like, yes, and I'm like, sold. So, Maria is here. Hello, Maria. Lady Knight of Avalon. Okay, so here's the first question, Thomas. I'll stop talking in a second here.
Not a problem.
Briefly tell us about your tarot journey. When did you start? How did you learn?
So I started reading tarot books when I had an IT job and had a lot of airport and flying time. So I read about 10 tarot books, and none of them said you could read the cards without reversals. So when a coworker asked me to read cards for a charity event, I said, well, I've never read cards for people before. And she said, you can do it. So I read 2 more books and put a couple keywords on my plaid back Rider-Waite Smith deck, and sat down and did Celtic cross spreads every 15 minutes during this charity. So it was
I
from 10
remember
in the morning to 5. So
and
28 readings, and allowed, drum and bugle and piper corps coming through every 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
It was not wasn't a place to get a nice relaxed reading, that's for sure.
Sure. Well, and I know, and I've heard you talk about that, and you did that for several years.
Like about 12 years for them.
Okay. Oh yeah, like about 12 years, Gerald. Well, and I have to say, it doing a lot of readings back to back, it really is a great way to learn. It can be stressful, but do you remember the first book that you read?
I think it was just like a tarot for beginners, a kind of a forest green covered, and she does I think she's like a deck creator.
Okay. I don't remember who did tarot for beginners, but okay.
But then it progressively got more and more, and I got into the psychology of it. So this is Jungian Tarot, An Archetypal Journey by Sally Nichols. And let's see, where'd my camera go?
Yeah, it's the other way. Yeah, Sally Nichols. Yep, that's good. Yes.
So I think it's still in print, and it delves into the 22 major arcana, in the Jungian psychology framework, and then doesn't talk anything about the other cards. So it's a deep dive into that, and then it's like, but I want to know about all the other things too.
Yeah. Well, and Linda said, oh, that's an awesome book. So juicy, so tasty, so full of wisdom. Yeah. And where'd it go? Oh, and Linda also said earlier when you were talking about how you were reading, it's like that's a baptism by fire.
It is.
And Jonathan is here. Hello, Jonathan. Hershey was saying phenomenal. So, and Robin is being funny. Younger than springtime. Got it. I got it. So, okay. So, how long have you been reading reversals? And you sort of indicated this.
I started right away, and it makes 78 keywords, double into 156 because not everything is truly opposite, not
That's true.
not an antonym,
Yeah.
not synonyms, but antonyms.
Yes, and we were talking about that before. So we think it's antonyms, and they're not synonyms, and they're not cinnamon buns. So now, one of the first, okay, full disclosure, until recently, I've never read with reversals. Did you know that?
Totally acceptable because I don't think that you have to read with reversals because the tarot is every card has its positive and shadow meaning, and everything's in perfect balance. So you don't
True.
need to read reversals. But none of the books that I had read said that, and so I overcomplicated things from the beginning, and I'm glad I did because I have a bigger tarot vocabulary.
That is well said. And with because I started, this was the first book that I really studied, Robin Wood Tarot, the book. And she actually says in here, she says, I don't read reversals, so I haven't included what the meanings. And in fact, there are no reversal meanings at all. So, and so that's interesting. And so, okay. Sherry said, I never knew you could not read reversals, but in the beginning, for me, I heard so many say they didn't do reversals, so I didn't either. But more and more, I've been letting it happen naturally. Sure. Robin Toadstool Tarot said, I haven't found a need for reversals. However, I think I've taken those other meanings for granted and often tend to overlook them. And okay, here's an interesting question, Pia. I'm gonna star that so that we can so that I can get back to that. And so so I think it's a wise choice to go ahead and understand that it's okay to read reversals. It's also okay not to read reversals. So no judgment. So what are you thinking, Thomas?
Well, first of all, every card has more than just one keyword to it. So if you start out with one or two keywords and you add a reversal, just one reversal keyword to it, then you've tripled that 78 number.
Yes.
And then a lot of cards, they have 6 to 10 keywords. And like Robin was saying, they're not all similar or like or synonyms of each other. Some of
Yes.
them are contrarian, and
Mm.
your reversal is right up front in those cases.
Yes. Yes. Um, Sherry said, if a card turns up reverse now, then I know there's something special meaning for it. That makes sense. Jonathan Daly said, I used to use reversals all the time. Then I found out that people didn't have to use reversals and stopped using them because I could see both upright and reversals depending on where they landed in the spread, um, and in the position. Yeah, I'm similar to that. Sometimes I can get that. Um, Sometimes the reverse meaning, and we'll talk about what that reverse meaning is and how to figure that out. So, All right, you had a sip. Is there anything you want to say while I take a sip about the topic so far?
Well, the reversals just allow for a little more nuance to a reading. I don't think that it adds significantly a whole lot more to a reading. You know, if you've got just your basic 3 card thing like we're doing on these shows, you know, just so we can get as many people facilitated as not very short and sweet and to the point. Now, when you get into a Celtic cross or a gypsy spread or something like that, then you've got a lot of color to play with for your chapters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pia's Life said, being a newbie, I started reading with reversals, but have since stopped. I become until I become better versed with what I'm doing. Okay, that makes
Very good.
sense. That makes sense. You have to chunk it down to what works for you. So that makes a lot of good sense.
Well,
Robin,
Tara, it's a totally different language. So right away, you've got 78 pictures to give you at least 78 keywords.
mhm,
And it is a different language. And until you run the cards often enough and, you know, give yourself the flashcard drills, um, it's quite a lengthy thing to pick up and to memorize in one's head.
yeah,
And I would suggest that anybody who's going to pick up tarot right now get one of the decks that already have the meanings on them, like a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's the most
mhm,
common deck that you'll see. Most of the other decks are based on its original art form. And, you know, the little white book that came with the plaid back in the 80s and 90s, you know, when I was first beginning, that was about all you had to work with.
yeah, yes, it is all about, yeah,
That
yeah.
little
Yep. You had to get your magnifying glass. You had to have a really good lighting. The struggle is real. So, Lisa Niedermeyer says, if I get a reversal in a reading, I read it as this is what is occurring now, yet you can improve what is needed. I appreciate that. Robin said, I often use placement in a spread for context instead of reversals. Well, yes, and you can also a lot of times when I'm constructing a spread, I will do, okay, what am I not seeing? What's hidden from me? So, uh,
or like the challenge card, like the cross cards,
yes,
is sometimes
exactly.
your
Yeah,
struggle, your reversal.
yeah. Linda is supporting Lisa. I think it's a great approach. I may start doing that. Right now, reversals intimidate me. I'd like to get to the point where I can do a whole reading without referring to a book. Okay. I mean, referring to the book isn't a problem. So,
And even doing the reads for the charities, they didn't mind if I picked up the card and looked at the margins at one of my keywords. You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
they understand that everybody's got to start somewhere,
Yes. Yes.
and the price was for a charity. It wasn't like they were
Exactly.
soaking them for exorbitant amounts. It was $7 for a 15-minute read.
Yeah. Yeah. The other way I've read reversals is that the card is flipped upside down because there's the energy blockage is happening. And we'll talk more about those meanings. And Sherry said, as I've learned to read more intuitively, there are definitely times when I feel the reversed meaning of a card than the upright meaning. So I've been learning to go with that I'm picking up. Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, Jackie Jacaranda is here. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks
Um,
for being everybody's moderator and facilitating by putting up links and such.
Absolutely.
You must be an octopus.
Twisted Sushi, Quantum Love for All, whose name I learned and I have forgotten it. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. I know in the moment which way to read it because I can feel it, you know. Yeah, I completely know.
Surrounding context tells
Yep,
you whether it's positive or negative or right side or reversal.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, and Tom Early Ritual said, I agree with Jonathan and Robin. A lot is based on positioning, in my opinion. I fairly actively try not to have reversals. So if it does by jumping or something, then I do look at its importance. Yeah. And Hershey, the shadow reader, said it came naturally to me because I learned with with a reversal deck. I think that's great. That's great. It's Amanda. Amanda is Twisted Sushi. Quantum Love for All. Amanda is her name. So, um, so yeah. Okay. So our next question is, because if you're going to read reversals, you have to figure out how to shuffle to get reversals in the cards, right? So,
So
yeah, what do you suggest?
how I set it up to read reversals is my decks are mine. I will hand the deck over for you if you're getting a reading to cut and then reassemble, and then I take the deck back into possession.
Mhm.
But uh, to ensure that I get reversals is when I cut the cards in half, I will split one half 180.
Mhm.
But I don't do that every time. I shuffle that,
You go like that.
go like that, and
So,
then overhand shuffle or
mhm,
riffle shuffle or
yeah.
I put it through my card shuffler, and I would say every 4 to 5 times, if you do that 180, you'll get a mix of upright and reversals.
Yes. And I have been, because I'm an overachiever and I was preparing for this and doing some reading, and I'm looking, this is making some sense. So what I have done is as part of my shuffling, I'll stop with this many cards and then put them in upside down. As many people as there are watching this, that's the number of different ways that you can shuffle. And I know Peggy, Lisa Papez's wife, Lisa was talking about every once in a while, because Peggy does read reversals. I hope that's correct, Peggy. If you're watching this and it's not, please correct me. But what Lisa said she will do is she'll actually reverse one of the stacks as she's shuffling it, and but I think it's important to figure out, because if you're going to use them and you're shuffling them, you're going to need to incorporate how to do that.
And I would pick a deck that has a reversible back that you can't tell if
Boom.
it's upright or reversed, and that way you don't uh, influence the way you place the deck before you start drawing the cards.
Yes. Yeah. That's very true. And I was reading some books. It's like the author talked about not doing reversals if the back wasn't reversible. So that's a key. It's a good point. So,
That's that's just a personal preference. I mean, the Stolar Tarot that I'm using right now, um, it's a one-way back, but um, I I sort them for my video, my card of the day draws,
Mhm.
Unless I want to stack the deck, then I turn the one that I want to pick upside down. You've never seen that on my channel now. Only April Fool's Day.
Yeah. Well, that's because everybody is liking and subscribing to your channel, so they can see that themselves.
So,
So,
and I am just fine without getting another subscriber, but to get my content out in view, it's important that you comment after lives go off. It's important that you hit
you
that little thumbs up button.
got it. Yeah. Sherry H said that's what I do. I split deck in half, turn one of the stacks the other direction, and I'll do it several times. Yep. So, thank you, Jackie. So, um, Maruta said, my Virgo tendencies don't deal well with cards facing the wrong way. I just read the reverse meaning too if I see it applies to the situation. And I think that's an important aspect of doing things your way. You know, when you read, do it what works for you. So,
And it's perfectly okay to put the cards on a tabletop and do a casino wash shuffle. Just
yep.
mess them all up and put them back together. You know, you may get more upright, you may get more reversed, but then you're going to be quicker at
Yeah.
learning how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And not all the times do I say a reversal is a reversal, because like the second card of the Celtic Cross is your cross card.
It's the
So
cross.
how do you tell? You know, his feet are pointing left, his feet are pointing right. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that one I always read upright.
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey and I were talking about this last night, and he had said, I said, "Do you use reversals?" And I already knew the answer to that, and his answer was no. And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because I don't." And I went, "Okay,
Valid point.
yep." And so I was talking about it. It's like, how would you suggest people shuffle to get reversals? And he said, use the wash,
Mhm.
the idea of the wash. So. All right, here's our next question is what is your approach to reading reversals? And so while you think about that, I want to get caught up in chat because amen, Maruda. I started decades ago. I have relaxed now. I'm a Virgo. Okay. And Deborah said, I straighten my deck as part of my process for resetting to read for someone. Yes. Yes. And okay, I've also got a whole bunch of things starred. And so Robin said, I suspect there's more to reading reversals than simply standing on your head or spinning around. Yes, there is, Robin. Thank you for that. And
I
uh,
started out dizzy, so it's not going to mean much to get me more dizzy.
well, but see, with that, I really want a good beat, and I need the beatbox going, you know, and so, but Pia started reading with reversals and then stopped. And okay, do you. And when because some of us, I would look at it and I would say, well, here's the challenging aspect of this card, which might have come up in the reversal. Okay, so all right. So your approach to readings, Lisa said, if I get a reversal in a reading, I read it as this is what is occurring now, yet you can improve what is needed.
Mhm.
I think that's a very helpful approach. I think it's a very helpful approach.
And again, it's all we have free will. This is just what's likely to happen if things go along just as they are. But now that we have knowledge, you have free will to change the outcome.
Exactly. Exactly. So What is your approach to reading reversals, Thomas?
Okay, so if I get a major arcana card, um, it's I don't read it as a reversal of the major arcana. I'm just putting less emphasis on it. It's a lack of first
Okay.
step, a
Mhm.
lack of mastery of your arts. It's a lack of knowledge. It's a
Mhm.
lack of uh, creative ideas. If
Okay.
if I'm stepping through the major arcana, um, if it's a court card, then I think of the personality of that regular. I have preset personality types for my courts.
Of course.
So, uh, if it's the Queen of Cups and she's reversed, she's she's not going to be so loving. She's going to be more like your Queen of Spades, a little more bitey in the tongue.
Okay.
Not that motherly, nurturing person. It's get off your ass and get a job.
Okay. So the first one, when you're looking at major, it's a lack. Is that what you said?
Lacking of.
Lacking. Okay. And with the court cards, then, as you said, it's the more challenging or negative aspect of that card.
Right, or it's opposite sign. So if you've got the cups, then you go to fire and water. So you go to that communication
See.
well, and then a a fighting, a fiery, or maybe a Queen of Wands, I guess, would be your most fiery.
Oh. Okay, so what I'm thinking, Thomas, is I really like that approach. Is if it's the Queen of Cups, then you go the opposite with it. It's the you in the way I would look at it is it would, on the other side of that would be the Queen of Swords, and so that would be the opposite. But
Yeah.
you're
Well,
saying fire and water,
if you do fire and water or earth and air,
yeah. Hmm.
so if you did fire and water, uh, the analytical queen, the communications, so she could be, the bitey, the backbiting
Yeah.
queen instead of being the Queen of Cups, the loving, motherly type. Or she could be the wands. She could be the fiery, feisty,
Hmm.
cantankerous old lady that my grandmother became.
Oh, so
Yeah.
yeah, so it's okay. That's really helpful. I like that. I like that. By the way, Chris MK is here and said, I'm a tarot dummy, goes right over my head, but I still thoroughly enjoy your videos and lives when I can catch. Your chatters are also knowledgeable. Your collabs are great. Well, thank you. And I do have the best chatters. And I'm glad you're here. And you know what? Tarot takes time. It really does. And so we have to give ourselves some time. Um, with it. I really okay. So how do you approach the minors in that then? What's your
So
approach?
then my minors are uh, pretty much literal keywords, um, as they suggest them.
Okay.
So they tend to be more opposite. You still don't, when you draw a three of swords, you still don't have no heartbreak or totally bliss and totally joy, because when you see that uh, symbol, the heart pierced with three swords, you
Yeah, it
can't
really
really
does.
put a positive spin on that one.
It gets you right there, doesn't it? It's like, oof.
And it's funny that it's one of the two minor arcana that don't have people depicted in it. The other's Eight of Wands. So every
Mhm.
other card has at least one human type figure in it.
Yes. Oh, we have a nice bit of advice from Peter J. Watts for um, um, em- uh, Chris. I've been immersed in tarot since 1987, and I still struggle. So, yes, yeah.
Well,
Um,
I think we all are lifelong learners in this pursuit. You know, there's no course that gives you certification. There's no
yeah.
if you write a book, it still doesn't mean that you know everything. It's still raft with opinion.
All right. I'm going to heap praise in. Oh, Terry is here. Terry from Terry at Holding Your Space, who next week at this time it's going to be on Terrastash. So you get that. I
All the
think
cool kids are doing it, Terry.
all the cool kids are doing it. So yeah. Well, see, and I think I worry about anybody who says that they are an expert because I'm like, really, Queen? You think you are all that? I mean, Benabel Wynn wrote this great book, Holistic Tarot, which is a great resource that I am really enjoying. She never says that she's an expert. She says she's a student. She is always investigating. And that's the approach I want to encourage people to have. Because if you're I mean, always learning, right?
Hmm.
Always
Ever
learning.
curious, evergreen.
Yes, because that's the stash way. Always learning, always putting new things into our bag of tricks. So, Viviani is here. Hi, Viviani, and just getting caught up in the chat. There you go. Yeah, best chatters. Terry's back, and we're doing a casual with her. And tarot is a lifelong study. Absolutely. There's no end to the things that you learn. And I actually think that that's really interesting because, Thomas, I can say first of all, because you said yes, coming here, it forced me, no, it didn't force me. It gave me an opportunity to look at reversals and to try them out to see how they work for me. And notice how I said how they work for me, not
All
for anybody.
individual.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. Oh, geez. That's how reversals came into being. Somebody on the floor struggling with a pile of mixed up cards from a game of 78 card pickup. I can see that. Oh, Robin, that's a huge challenge. Don't do that. Robin said, challenge for anyone to find the hole in Benabell's comprehensive holistic tarot. Don't do that. And Hershey, the shadow reader, said, I try to learn something new every day. So and I will say, and I'll be honest with you, because I should really be talking, I should be answering these questions too, Thomas. Hold me to that. Don't let me just go and, you know,
Well, it's fine to acknowledge a gap in knowledge, especially when you're trying to fill your knowledge.
yes.
And you may not take the advice that I have or the approach that I have to fill your knowledge, because as many individuals as you've had on your shows, we all probably approach it in a slightly different way.
And isn't that for me, that's the beauty of tarot, and the number of readers. And that's why it's like I've talked about on other Tarot the Stash Way. It's like the ethics of reading, or how do you prepare for a reading? How do you do you? And what's important? So, hi, Jackie Smith. And Orshi is here. There's Jackie Smith and Orshi.
I go to a sweat lodge or to a sauna in the mountains, and then 15 minutes in the sauna, and then a minute plunged into the snow, and then 15 more in the sauna, and then get a massage. And
Hmm.
I couldn't afford all that stuff, but it would certainly be nice to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You were talking about sweat lodges, and I have been working with Peter's book and the Oracle of the Anime Mundi, and I'm like, going, well, sweat lodges and all that. So, Pink Divination, hello. Glad to have you here. Welcome to Tarot Stashway Reversals. So I I have there's always challenging messages in cards. I think there's for me there's always a balance. I'm about finding a balance between the very affirming aspects and the aspects of cards which indicate struggle. And I think every card has that. You can we could pull out we could pop a card. Maybe that's another time for Tarot the Stashway. It's just like, okay, let's look at a card that is genuinely a happy card and find out where the struggle is, or what's the opposite of the initial impact. Ms. Tarot D is here. Hello. Yeah. Believe in what you want and do what you want, and make sure you understand that your actions speak louder than your words. So did I finish that thought? So okay, so there's always a balance of meanings in a card. There's always, I'm always looking for that. It's like my favorite card in the deck is the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Coins. I'm always looking for a balance. And
You're always balanced, Gerald. It's that you just don't see that all those irons and all those fires and all those projects are not a type of balance. They are juggling with 72 ping pong balls and one bowling ball.
well, isn't that an interesting thought? Now you're giving me something to think about. Thanks, Thomas. So, and here's the thing is that I do, in my general understanding, is there are these aspects of the cards that are not as affirming or positive. I'm trying to avoid the word positive and negative, but I'm going to use it. And so using reversals, we'll go, okay, here's one of the struggle aspects of this card immediately, and it helps me to do it faster. So,
Well, when I'm reading for myself, I'm usually doing shadow work, so I'm looking for those lessons that I still need to overcome, because we all hate our shadow side, and if we don't reconcile it we could get pulled into it or mired into it, especially when you have addictive personality type like I do. I was alcoholic. I confused sex with love. I was morbidly obese. All these things, and it's not that I wanted to overcome them, as I had to
mhm,
um, to have another day on this hurtling blue ball.
yes. And if I may say, I'm glad you're doing that, what you need to do, so that we can have this conversation, Thomas.
For
Thank you.
years on end.
Good. You heard it here first, people. Years on end. Get ready. Like and subscribe so you can be there for it. Peter J. Watts brought up a really great point. It's that the sun is often called the most optimistic, positive card in the tarot. But what about sunburn? Yes.
Or
Yes.
Houston weather. If you grew up in Minnesota, you may not particularly like to come down and sweat and sweat and sweat and have to carry towels around and wipe your brow all the time, because you have a thermostat that kicks in, and you have to be out of that cold element for at least 3 years to get some acclimatization. So, you can, some people like the hot weather. Some people like the cold weather. The older I am and the more circulatory issues that people have when they get older, I tend to gravitate towards warm. So when I go on my cruises, it's to the Caribbean or Caribbean.
You go to the Caribbean and not the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Hershey said, focusing on the wrong thing, look for the blind spot. Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Back to what Peter said, it's the sun is the most optimistic card, but when you stare at the sun too long, you can get blinded. When you look away from it, it's not necessarily, you can't see clearly initially. So, Julia Kusha Watts is here, hand sewing ribbon on a colonial era ball gown for the North Star Tarot Conference's costume ball this coming weekend. Ooh,
Wow.
that's nice. So, and all right, just getting caught up, and all right, lovely chat. So, oops, I hid all of the comments. Didn't mean to do that. Looking back at some of the starred comments. Okay, and it's like the other way I read reversals is that the card is flipped upside down because that's where the energy blockage is coming. Yes. And Robin said there are a couple of decks, I think Richie has one, where there are actually visual reversals. And yes, and I think this was answered, but Tarot Reversal or Revelations Tarot by Zach Wong has images where the cards are actually reversed, as well as Tarot of Oppositions, where I am on with Val later tonight, and I may be using these, where you can see in this one there are images that are there. So okay, so yes, those are there. Lisa said this is what is occurring now. Yeah, okay, can't approve. And by the way, Twisted Sushi's name is still Amanda.
This just in?
No. Okay. Okay. I love that deck. It really does help. Yes. Yes. So, okay. So we're about 48 minutes in, and I want to make sure that I get to how does reading reversals influence readings? And then I'm going to quote some books that because hashtag I'm an overachiever of things. So how does reading reversals influence your readings?
I think if you're doing a reading, it just adds a little more nuance to it. Doesn't balance it out. It could be heavily one way or heavily another way, but it just pivots that topic point just a little bit, skews it.
I think it deepens it, is what I would say, because it gives a yes. And Thomas, for me, as I've been doing this, as I've been reading and paying attention to reversals, it sort of goes, don't forget about this, because when we know something is coming, we can prepare for it differently. And I think there's a lot of nuance that with reading reversals, I have learned, or I am learning, there's nuances that it might have taken me longer to get to if all of the cards were upright. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay. And I like an obvious setup to a punchline where I know I can see the punchline coming a mile ahead, and
Yep.
I'm laughing before it's even spoken. Uh, and if my life were a tarot reading, it's one cosmological joke.
Well, and you've got to have a sense of humor, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's life is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay. I'm just looking at their, again, best chatters. Oh, and Lisa has says, "Oh my, anxiety sets in." Well, yes, I get it. I get it. And Pamela, that's what I would say as well, Gerald. The reversal deepens the message and gives the complete identity of the card outside of the duality. Yeah. And Robin says, if most of the cards in a spread are reversed, is this significant? Or are you just having a bad day?
Maybe we just have to look at it from the hangman's point of view and look at it from a different perspective.
Hmm. That's a challenging question to answer, because if all of the cards are reversed, I'm like going, okay, something's going on, and it tells me I may not have asked the right question or asked it clearly enough, or I may have not been focused enough while reading, or this is just a weird situation, and just that's the way it is. So, yes, you could be just having a bad day, but and Robin said, or both. It could be all three of those things.
Book your tickets south of the equator.
And
Turn the
go
reading around.
and do the clocks go counterclockwise south of the border?
The curlless effect, when you flush the toilet, the whirlpool goes the opposite direction.
Ah. And see, in Lisa, earlier I believe I had to straighten out the deck before reading through. I'm more relaxed now. And here you go. If you read reversals, great. If you don't read reversals, great. You're still reading tarot. I would say if a card jumps, or if you draw a card and it's reversed, well, that's something you could pay attention to. Jonathan Daly said the 5 Cent Tarot has a great way to learn reversals, because there's information, there's keywords either way. So yeah, Lisa was over.
I like the pictures on the 5 Cent Tarot. The old timey vintage look.
Yeah, and in fact, the deck I'm using this week for my daily spreads is Madam Clara Sees All. So that's one of the Madam Clara decks. Love it, and I am reading it reversal. So okay, I'm looking through. Okay, we've already got that one. Some cards have the same meaning upright and reversed, or is that complicate things a little? I think they have similar meanings, but they're not the same. There's a different aspect to them. So, um, in a way, I can see that, Jonathan. Seems like it's a subconscious thing that needs attention ASAP.
So Jonathan's Tarot was Anime Mundi.
No, that's Peter J. Watts. It's the
Right.
Oracle of the Anime Mundi. That's Peter. Pamela said, I have not used reversals up to now, but a couple of weeks ago, a reverse meaning caught my eye in a guidebook. Now I consider the reverse as part of the total card messages. It is it is part of the total card message. It's just, when do we pay attention to that?
Yeah, it's so if you commit to one keyword of your 78 cards, once you have that thoroughly under your belt and you think you've got a control on it, then you add a second keyword, and then
Yeah.
maybe after you get those two keywords all fleshed out in your mind, then add one of the reversal keywords to it for you. Because uh, I'm getting older, and 78 things to remember is tough to begin with, and then to double that and triple that, and then once you get up to those 10 up to 10 keywords for some of the cards, then you've got thousands of.
Well, yeah, it's exactly what you're trying to do. It's like, okay, which, it's choose your own adventure. Which is the right answer, or which is the most appropriate answer for this?
And we all learn differently. Some of us are visual learners, some of us are auditory, um, some of us are tactile.
Exactly.
It's and that's what I have to remember with doing my card of the day is I've got to show for a visual learner. I've got to speak for auditory learners,
Mhm.
and uh, I've got to make sure that my colors and saturations are there so people see the true color of that card.
Yeah. Peter said, I've mentioned this before, but for me, when reversals occur, they indicate an influence from another source or person. I like that. That adds a depth and a nuance. And my tribe tarot is here. Hello, cleaning up they are. So
And uh, I haven't gone into the astrology and tarot bent, and that adds another 144 degrees of layers.
I haven't done that either. It's always on my list of things that because I do a reading the beginning of the year. Where do I want to focus on? And it's been like two or three, not the first thing. Geocosmic Valentine says time is a human construct, so clocks don't go in reverse south of the equator.
Well,
So
I took my compass the first time I went south of the equator, but I forgot my basics of science that it wouldn't North Pole wouldn't point south because of the polarity. It's just the South
mhm,
Pole has more of an influence on the South Pole of the magnet of the compass.
yeah. Lisa is skipping the astrological part, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And Robin says, and sometimes you need to surrender keywords to the images or symbols on the cards. Yes, because there's a story that is being told in the images. And so that you just sometimes you just have to read what's there. It's like for me, a lot of times when I'm seeing like the 3 of Cups, it's like good. Sometimes it's like, okay, you need to go out and you need to celebrate with friends, or do you need to drink more water?
Sip, sip.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Hydrate.
hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Um, Deborah said, I don't usually read the book. I try to stay away from it because I read intuitively. The book sometimes gets in my head and blocks my intuitive hits. I understand that. And I encourage people to get to know your decks and the images. I know people who they get rid of the books, and that freaks me out because sometimes you might want to know more about that. So and that can be a struggle. But I'm never going to get rid of a book generally. Goes against my, librarian sensitivities. Okay. So we have a question from Lisa. Yes, I want to know what card you find out is difficult to read in reverse. For example, the Hanged Man. So Calla Lizzie is here. Hi, Calla Lizzie.
Well, in the hangman's upright position, it's sort of a depiction of Odin hanging himself
Hmm.
from the tree to gain enlightenment. And so if you don't hang yourself from the tree, are you going to be ignorant?
Hmm.
Are you depriving yourself of gaining knowledge if you don't go through some self-sacrifice?
Hmm.
He goes along with the hermit and the Five of Cups for me.
Well, and yeah, and if I can see if the hanged one is reversed, then it could be you're not willing to see things from a different perspective, and therefore you're limiting your options.
So if you're hanging from a tree branch with a rope, then if you're upright, then you're standing on the tree branch and you're slacking in your rope.
Hmm. Very interesting, isn't it?
Mhm.
And I think Lisa, this is a great question, and I wouldn't try to um don't try to figure it all out in one sitting. You're not going to do that. How long have you been studying tarot? Multiply that by 2, and then that's how you can then, give yourself that much time. If you've been studying tarot for 5 years, give yourself 10 years to include reversals. Ah, there you go. Lisa said, yes, the hanged one from the Terror of the Abyss. Ooh, right. Oh, and Ms. Teradi said, Gerald is going to be mad at me, but I find most books are repetitive and I lose patience with them. Well, you're reading the wrong books. So there. No, I mean,
Well,
and I understand that. I
we
understand.
can't reburn the library at Alexandria. It's already happened. We lost so much knowledge that I will never know. I might have been interested in, but how do I know what I'm missing?
No, that makes me sad. Jane the Seeker is here. Hi, Jane.
Jane.
Tarot of the Abyss has the best hanged one. Yes. Yes. Oh, and Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft is here. Hello. And okay, so we're winding down. Um and so one of the things that okay, so I also have a do you have any suggestions for people on how to learn more about reversals?
Just pick out one keyword at a time from the deck that you're studying with and try not to overdo it. Uh, or maybe just start with court cards or just start with minor arcana or start with major arcana. Just
Mhm.
gradually add is how I would suggest to do it because we do reach a point of brain saturation and you don't want to get yourself frustrated. You want to make this fun and enjoyable exploration to make the meaning of the cards more nuanced for you.
I like that, and I think I agree with you. I would also say consider um uh, uh, this is a great book, Holistic Tarot. It's hefty, it's scary. You might be able to get it from your library. Yeah, as Jane said, keep it simple to start. Exactly. And one of the things in here that Benabel talks about is some mnemonics for remembering how you can learn about reversals. And it's like, is it weakened energy? Is it an inverted meaning of the card, like it's the opposite of that? And then the negative influence on this on the querent is like, okay, this is what this is somebody who might be doing something. Goes back to that idea of what Peter was talking about. It's just usually an outside influence. And then the other thing is that she talks about in here is this is, if it's reversed, it could also mean that it's delayed. You're not going to get this yet. Now, and I'll be truth be told, when I read that, I went, holy moly, that makes so much sense to me. It suddenly opened it up, because for a lot of times, Thomas, I was very much it's the opposite of when it's straight up, when it's upright. That's not the case.
Right.
It's nuanced, Gerald.
And what pandemics did for all of us, we had the giant fear of missing out, and we wanted everything immediately, and we over consumed, and we forgot the importance of delay and gratification, that
Yes,
things that are worked for are all the more sweet once they're attained.
absolutely. And I think it's, yes. And so I really appreciate so one of the other resources that I was getting should have been delivered yesterday. However, tracking number was changed, blah, 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 and it hasn't arrived. It's the book Tarot Reversals by Mary K. Greer, whose books I really appreciate and I value. I like her approach. So I was going to be able to go, look, here's Tarot of Reversals. But look, here's where Tarot of Reversals will be sometime when it arrives, maybe by Wednesday.
Well, we know you have the willingness to delve into that subject, where there was a little delay.
There was a little delay, and it's fine, because now I have enough experience to go, you know what? This might be this could be something. So yeah, I love it. Yes, there's a delay, apropos. So okay, there's some good stuff. Calla Lizzie said Tarot Reversals is a very useful book. Maybe reversals are just a nudge from the Hanged Man to consider a different point of view than the original meaning of the card. Yep. And somebody else had a book suggestion. Just getting caught up. Tarot tiles. And yeah, more ways to learn tarot from all of you via the pandemic. That's true. That's true. Now, and here's the thing: a lot of books will give, they'll have upright meanings, and then they will also have reversed meanings. Read those. Give it a thought. Does it work for you? Does it apply? Does it make sense? Does it make you go, huh, I didn't know that, or I could consider that? That's why this is me here. There it is. Me getting on my soapbox. If you do not have a tarot journal of some sort and you're needing to learn Tarot the Stash Way, I encourage you to get a notebook, get a journal, get pieces of paper, get index cards, something, so for you to write stuff down, because that's actually a good way to remember things. Thomas, I imagine that you writing on your keywords, and by the way, back when I first started collecting tarot and reading tarot, I never would have thought to write on a deck. Never. Now I'm doing it all the time. So,
and I don't have neat handwriting, but I just put the two keywords, in the white margin of the plaid back Rider-Waite-Smith.
mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry I got rid of that deck. I sort of had to get rid of it. It got worn out.
Okay.
It got used and used and used. It was a well-loved deck.
Yeah. Jonathan said the book that really helped me learn was Tarot Plain and Simple. That's because it was only, That was the one that used the Robin Wood tarot for the images. Yeah, nobody's got all the answers, and that's what tarot is all about. And if people say, I have all the answers, liar, fibber, you may think you have all the answers, but you don't.
Well, I would say that I'm a fair reader, that the brick and mortar professionals here in Houston with the purple tarot palm reading signs, stay away from them. They'll tell you there's a curse on your head, and for $300 I will burn this candle for a whole month. And
Tarot the Stashaway ethics. Don't do it, people. Pay attention. Yeah.
That, I guess that's the value promise that they have to keep order store.
Okay, sorry, that was me. Jackie Smith loves the book Tarot Plain and Simple, and Hershey said, I don't write on my cards, but my books are full of love notes and highlighted things throughout. You know.
And Lisa Peppa says that if you write with a Sharpie marker, that most of the times acetone or alcohol will just wipe it off, and you really don't see anything left behind.
Yeah.
But we each know what we'll call defacing a tarot deck. You can write on a dollar bill and not get sent to federal prison.
Yeah. Oh, and here you go, Thomas. Ms. Tara D said, Thomas, I'm running a special next week. 2 candles for $150.
Twin flame.
And if you act now, Ms. Tara D will even light them with her tiny hands.
Oh, Jamie, I hope you're not watching.
Oh,
well, I hope you are, for Gerald's sake, but
yeah. And I really like what Spirit Tribe Talks with Deborah said. I think it comes to us in our time. What is meant for us will never pass us by. That's true. That's true. So,
yeah, I just didn't, at the beginning, I just didn't have any of those 10 or 12 books that says, hey, you don't have to read reversals. It's just, they gave keywords for upright and reversals, and they just didn't explain that you could just ignore reversals. And I will still respect a tarot reader that doesn't read reversals.
Oh, sure. Well, and here's and that could be something you could ask somebody and go, do you read reversals? Because if you can't do that, first of all, I mean, if you're curious, you can ask that. But if you want a good reading, let the person read however they read.
Yeah.
And by the way, you got an exactly from Jane the Seeker. So the Tarot of Oppositions, the book, talks about how there are different aspects of each card at the same time. And the Tarot of Oppositions actually talks about, it's an invitation to see polarities inherent in each card as something harmonious that leads away from extremes and toward a balance. So I really like that. Yeah, and not everybody reads for the same reason. Some are positive and some are directive. Yep. Thomas, what do you got coming up on your channel, sir?
Gertrude and I are gonna go live the third Thursday of June, and Kelly is gonna invite me on to Kelly Wellness and Tarot.
Dozen Cats
Tarot
Wellness,
and Wellness.
Who's I'm hosting on my channel on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So,
yeah, she's trying to schedule her June calendar,
Yep.
and I'm still. I'll read reversals any day. I just won't go live by myself because I'm scared of the technology still.
You know what? I've told you here. I mean, I'd be happy to go on live with you. I'm pretty easy that way. And stop it, Ms. Tarot D. Not that way. And Jane the Seeker said they can give me the information from other cards and the other cards around the card in the question. Yes. And Italian readers who read standard Neapolitan cards don't read reversals at all. So, yeah.
So they read chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
But there's always vanilla.
Right.
That's what we always had because that way, we didn't have to get 3. Oh, yes. Yes. Pia. Thank you, Pia. Okay. This is the question, right, Pia?
I had this come up. I had a City of Houston inspector in my house inspecting my house and saw my tarot cards and
Mm-hmm.
happened to say, "You're playing with the devil. You're going to hell for doing that." And I just happened to say, "Is that a personal opinion or the City of Houston's opinion?"
Ooh.
Because
Well played.
it doesn't matter. I could probably sue one or the other of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't need that karma debt. I don't need somebody to lose a job. We
Yeah.
all have opinions. We all have holes, like everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're getting a lot of slay. Oh, snap. Burn. Snap. I think with your question, Pia, Pia's life is first of all, if somebody tells me they feel tarot cards are evil, depending upon my mood, please note that, depending upon my mood, I might ask, "What do you mean?" And then stop talking and look at them expecting an answer because I want to understand what they mean. And a lot of times people or sometimes people are just told they're evil because that's what they've been told and so they believe it. And sometimes I use it as an opportunity to slow down enough to get the person to think about what they're saying. And then I may go, "Oh, okay, my opinion is different." Full stop, and I don't need to have the conversation with them.
And uh, and it also depends on who this person is to your life.
Yes.
Is it a family member that you're going to have to run into continuously? I have family members that vote blue and vote red, and they're still family members, and we still meet up on occasion. But I don't have to particularly endorse any hatred that they may spread.
Mhm.
And uh, if it's a friend, just consider: are they really a friend? Do they have your best interest at heart?
Mhm. Yeah. And if and Pia said, it's taken me so long to change my way of thinking as I always taught that negativity about them. Beautiful for you to have been able to slow down and see things differently. And so you've worked on that for a long time. Those other people haven't had that time, and that's where you can go, "I don't find them negative or evil." Full stop. You don't need to go anywhere else with it. Um, but I think there's also a um yeah, and and Pia says, I absolutely love my cards now. And one of the things about that is like going, I talk about how they've helped me. They have helped me find comfort and clarity. And I know Christians who use tarot as part of their prayer. They include it in their spirituality. And you love your cards now. And I imagine that they are offering you a whole lot of incredible support and clarity. So,
well, how, it's a wonderful tool to get us to think about how we look at things and frame our personal life and our interspecies conversation with each other.
yeah.
And and to keep that spark of learning going, it's a wonderful tool and resource.
Yeah. And Amanda Twisted Sushi said, remember what Lavender Moon told us. They are scared because they want to protect us and themselves. And that's oftentimes true when we don't understand something.
Yeah, if it's well-meaning, hopefully we take it for well-meaning. But if it's just to be holier than thou, then thou mayest not agree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. And just to finish this has been helpful, Pia. Thank you for asking the question. I appreciate that. Robin just said, it's just cards with images on them. Ask what their opinion is of Hallmark cards. Ooh. It's just like, I might say, I appreciate your opinion. I don't know if I could say I appreciate their opinion. I would say, well, okay.
I appreciate you have an opinion.
Yeah, I appreciate you having an opinion. But yeah, and Nancy Paper Moon Tarot. Hello, Nancy. Tarot is just a tool for contemplating and understanding human nature to me. No devils involved. Yes.
Well, the biggest devil I ever met was the shadow me.
Say that again?
The biggest devil I ever met was the shadow me. Because
Oh,
we're taught to be afraid of our darker sides.
that which we don't know and that what we don't understand.
Yeah.
So, and Spirit Tribe Talks with Deborah said, I had that happen by a family member in my own home. I just informed them that there is no evil in my home or cards. I got nothing but peace, love, and light in my house. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome, Pia. Well, here you go. Not tarot, but I love my oracle cards and messages I get. Yeah. So, oh, yeah. Here you go. Beware of anyone saying not to learn or read or explore. So, my ex neighbor was churchy and I had to hide my decks before I let her in my house. Oh, geez. That's tough. Yeah. Well, in the tarot closet, I mean, we all have things that we don't want to share with other people. I get that. Oh, that made Thomas laugh. That's beautiful. So,
Hi. I have to scrub and sanitize before I go on camera.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Thanks for doing that.
Listerine clean.
I'm squeaky clean. I don't trash their love of sports or book banning, so why would they trash what I do? Ooh, yes. Yeah. Love to make people laugh. Well, pull out, you could, depending upon who it was, you could actually go, are they really evil? Let's see what the cards say about that. Start flipping some cards for him. anyhow, oh my gosh. So tomorrow at 4 p.m., Jamie and I are doing a back and forth hashtag last 10 books. So, and tonight I am on with Val, Dragonfly Crystals. Kelly's with me on Wednesday. I am hosting Purple Elephant Deb H and Cartomancy Mesquite Angela on Thursday for the first, okay, what are we calling it? The Woo Woo Witchery and Coffee Club. So, you know, if you're looking for evil in the cards or life, you'll find it. Yes, that's exactly right. Exactly. Must confess, I actually do judge them for banning. Yeah, well, here you go. All right. Thank you, Jackie, for posting that. Everybody, please like and subscribe to Tarot Your Way. And maybe he'll get some more subscribers and he'll be confident enough to invite me on his channel. We'll do some readings or we'll do something.
I'll support the people that don't need to be supported because, you know, they run the roost.
Who runs the roost? Good Lord. So, all right, everyone, thank you very much for being here. Please make sure you subscribe and look at my community tab because I will make sure that I'm putting places or things where I will be. Any last minute words, Thomas?
Read reversals if so inclined, but remember to keep your mind upright.
Ooh. Snap. You heard it here first, people. Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks.